in the KOMO News studio, we are bringing you breaking news. We've been covering it throughout the evening. There is a mass shooting that happened at the Seattle Center. Seattle police continuing to respond to it. Broke around 6 o'clock tonight. We are waiting for details about how many people have been shot, but we know multiple people are shot. KOMO's Jeremy Harris is on the scene. He was there shortly after the shots were fired. Jeremy, bring us up to speed. I know you're waiting on a briefing from police. What can you tell us?
Yeah, at this point, Seattle police are confirming multiple people were shot here at the Bite of Seattle event. They're not confirming at this point how many, but you can see behind me, we've moved over by the monorail. If you're familiar with this, we're much closer to the base of the Space Needle since we saw you about 15 minutes ago. What you're looking at are some of the booths that were set up here for Bite of Seattle. Anyone familiar with this event knows it draws tens of thousands of people down here. It's a major event for Seattle Center. We know there would have been police already on scene. What we've heard from witnesses that it was right around 6 o'clock when there were just multiple shots that were fired and just total chaos as people were trying to get out of the area. At this point, of course, the scene has calmed down significantly. Seattle police definitely have a handle on this. You can see some Seattle Center security guards who are right here. They've got that crime scene taped off here. I want to speak with one of the witnesses who was here. You were in the area at the time that this happened. Tell me what you saw.
So I was around the concert area where they were playing that psychedelic rock stuff. I was a little up north, and it was such a crazy experience. I think in terms of evacuation, everybody did a great job, but there was a lot of chaos. My brother actually got pushed, and he fell. He's pretty bruised up right now, but he's okay. None of my friends got injured, thankfully, and it was such a surreal experience.
What did you see or hear at the moment those shots were fired?
Just a lot of people running. As soon as we evacuated, we saw a lot of cops come by, and the cops did great in coming as fast as possible. But yeah, I think we just need maybe some better security, metal detectors even here.
Describe beforehand. I mean, this area would have been just full of people. Just describe. It seemed like it was a great afternoon here.
Yeah, it was great. The weather wasn't too bad. It was warm. We got a little bit of a drizzle, but yeah, it was supposed to be a good day. Last year we came, it was a total blast, but it was such a different experience this year.
It sounds like your brother, he got shoved sort of during that melee. What happened there?
So as we were trying to run away, once we heard the shots, everybody kind of just started panicking, and he kind of just got pushed along the way, since he's a little shorter than other people. So.
And what are you feeling right now? I mean, this has got to be so. I mean, this is such a good event, such a big moment for Seattle, something we look forward to every year, and then to have it sort of end like this.
Yeah, so honestly, I feel disappointed. I feel as people we should be better. I heard that some young baby was actually shot in the process, and it's sad. It's very sad. I think we should. I think what needs to happen is, instead of just learning about shootings at school, I think even adults should start learning about them, being more of this being put on the news, awareness and all that.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that with us. I know it's really just a difficult situation, and our best to your brother. Hopefully he gets some help there. So as we stay on the air, we're going to stay with you for a little while here, because of course this is at this point now getting national attention, and the most urgent question here is who was the shooter, what happened in the moment that those shots were fired, and who's responsible for all this. I heard a Seattle police officer tell another that the shooter had gotten away and they were still looking for them, but at this point Seattle police have not really confirmed with us right now anything about what they know about the shooter, if there were multiple shots of people who had fired guns during all of this. So that information is, we're waiting, and Seattle police tell us they're going to do a briefing with us here in a little bit. So we're going to hopefully move over towards the roundabout by the Space Needle, where that's going to go on. I'll give you another look, though, as we're staying on the air. Again, what we know about where this happened. So Bite of Seattle at Seattle Center, it takes up almost the entire area. So there's booths all over the place. There's vendors who come in from all over the region to participate in this. So at the time Bite of Seattle's going on, you're going to have tens of thousands of people who are down here. As we heard from several people, there were concerts going on. So this was really a happening place, and the weather this afternoon is nice. I mean, it's just a perfect environment for Bite of Seattle. And then right around 6 o'clock is when those shots were fired, and from there it was just sort of a mass evacuation and people trying to get away, police trying to get in. We did see paramedics who were coming in, and of course they do excellent work in coordinating these very chaotic scenes. One thing I think that is telling is even now, an hour and 15 minutes later, we're still seeing some officers who are walking around Seattle Center with their long guns out. That to me would definitely, they would do that anyways on a case like this, but I do have to imagine they still have their guard up if they don't have the shooter in custody. And again, SPD not confirming with us at this point if they have someone in custody or not, and there's just going to be a lot of details that come out. We're hoping to get a briefing here from Seattle Police shortly. So Michelle, I'll send things back to you. If you have any questions, feel free to go ahead.
Yeah, Jeremy, what we'll do is the moment that police are ready to fill you in, we'll let you break. But while I have you, let's talk a little bit about this evacuation process. I'm hearing it was really a chaotic scene. And as you mentioned, tens of thousands of people over that 3-day period, they were expecting 350,000 people. So that's a lot of people to get your arms around. Sounds like from some of your earlier reporting that this may have happened near the International Fountain. Have you been able, one, to confirm that? It gives me a sense of where these people are and how many people had to scatter. Any idea? I see that you're behind the caution tape, so you're limited on how far you can go and who you can talk to.
Yeah, for sure. You're absolutely right. So that the big fountain at Seattle Center, if you've come down here, you know exactly where it is, right next to Climate Pledge Arena. It sounds like, to me, based on all the witnesses who I've spoken with, it sounds like that shooting happened right there, close to or right at the fountain, which is right in the middle of the Bight of Seattle. So this would have been in a crowd with a lot of people, and any gunfire in a crowd like that has potential to hit somebody, any round being fired in that sort of environment. So not surprising that even with 6, 7, or 8 shots that you would have multiple people who get injured. So yes, you're absolutely right. It sounds like it was at the International Fountain. We're going to actually walk over and go over towards the Space Needle right now. If you want to stay with us, you're welcome to.
Sure, let's do that. While you're walking, one of the things I'm sure you heard, as I did, that one of the witnesses that you spoke to said that he heard that a baby may have been shot. I just want to emphasize that that is not confirmed. That's hearsay at this point. We are efforting to find out exactly how many victims there are and what their injuries are. Jeremy, have you heard anything more with regard to how many people were hurt? And let's just listen in here because it seems like Jeremy has caught up with a witness.
Yeah, and your name, sir?
Jeff.
Jeff. Okay, so Jeff, so you were down there when this happened.
I was down there. I was about 25 feet west of the person that was shot, that was on the ground about 25 feet west of that intersection. And I heard all the shooting happening from the north side of that spot. So I was like right there, and all the people were running away to the west, to the southwest, across that big lawn where the where there was a stage there, Mid-Lake or whatever they were called. Band was playing, and I was about 20 feet or less maybe from one of the people who was shot, and I couldn't really clearly see what was going on, but I ran toward the gunfire, and there was I would say at least 24 shots. It was multiple. It sounded like an automatic weapon. So then I kind of was right at that intersection. There was somebody laying on the ground with blood, and then there was another person laying closer to the fountain on the other side of the intersection going north. So I was like right there. Cops were right there. Paramedics were there. Somebody was on the person on the ground, and they were shuffling us off to the south.
And just describe that moment. I mean, it must have been sort of a race to get away from there.
It was, but I've done mountain rescue, so my instinct is to help if I can, and I'm aware of shooters and things that can happen. So I was trying to do what I could, but there was nothing I could do. I didn't see anybody. Cops told me to just leave.
Yeah.
Jeremy, I have a question for your witness.
Oh yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Very good. Michelle, go ahead. Yeah, Michelle, go ahead.
First of all, thank him so much for his time. We appreciate it. I want to know if he saw how many witnesses, or excuse me, how many victims that he saw. He mentioned one person that he saw shot on the ground bleeding. Were there others? How many? And did he see the shooter? And did he hear anything that happened prior to it? We want to get to what triggered this.
Yeah, so a couple questions for you, Jeff. So did you hear anything leading up to the shooting, and how many people did you see who were being treated?
3.
3 is what you saw, okay.
Yeah, no, nothing leading up to it, just multiple gunshots.
Just sort of everything seemed to be going normal until, and you said around 24?
Yeah, it was massive gunfire.
Wow. So disappointing that that would happen here. Well, thank you for your time, Jeff. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
and we can stay on the air, Michelle, if you like. We're just going to head over because we've been told to head to the base of the needle here to try and get an update from Seattle Police. Of course, at this point, most of Seattle Center is closed off. Anywhere that was Bite of Seattle, we're just walking around sort of the base of the Space Needle right now. Which, as you know, I mean, a Sunday afternoon, this area is going to be very busy. And it seems to me, I don't know if the Space Needle has closed down for the day, but it seems rather empty for this time on a Sunday evening.
I think the evacuations are in place. People heeded the call. I understand it was very chaotic at times. I want to let you get to Seattle Police. The moment you hear from them, you let me know. We will come back to you. I want to join up with Tyler Cunnington. He is also on site there as well for us. Let's get to Tyler to find out what he has learned. Tyler, can you help fill in some of the spaces here for us?
Yeah, that's right, Michelle. Well, we're standing right here at the pretty busy intersection. This is where so much traffic. It has been so busy ever since we got here on scene. Once we drove, we were coming into Seattle in order to get here. You can still see that there's a Seattle police SUV sort of blocking off this little turnaround. There's a few cars parked in there, likely people that had parked originally for the day because there's tourism. There is the Bite of Seattle event going on. We've seen just a steady flow of people having to leave the grounds. You know, there are people sort of in there, but really that whole section, as Jeremy was explaining, near the International Fountain, sort of that lawn area where all the vendors are at, that is all blocked off. I have not seen a law enforcement response this large in the time that I have been here in Seattle. And there's people I've spoken to, a lot of it is pretty similar to what we've heard from Jeremy. You know, the reportedly about at least six victims that were injured in this shooting. I spoke with a gentleman who was at his vendor, his tent that he was running his business out of. He says he didn't really hear any sort of commotion or anything beforehand. It just sort of burst out of nowhere. About a dozen, maybe 14 shots is what he said he heard, and then it was just craziness from there. Everybody needing to, you know, get out. Obviously, Seattle Police ordered the grounds to be cleared out. It is a very heavy scene, which I believe you might have seen from Jeremy earlier over by the backside of the Mopop Museum. That sort of side entrance near that big playground area, that is obviously close to the International Fountain. That is where I saw probably close to a dozen SUVs. So it's just still a very heavy scene, as Jeremy mentioned, and we have been hearing there will be some sort of media update, hopefully right here behind me at this turnaround spot. So we will hopefully get some more information there soon, but just really tense. A lot of people saying they heard the shots, they were inside, you know, people still sitting there with the food that they had bought and were trying to, you know, enjoy before this all happened. As this event was winding down for the day. It was supposed to close at about 8 o'clock.
All right, so you did speak to some witnesses. Tell me, or if not necessarily witnesses, folks who heard the gunshots. How did they describe what happened, what they thought they were hearing, and then what they did? And did anybody describe the scene to you? Because it sounds like it would have been extremely chaotic. This is a 74-acre walkable Seattle Center. It covers a lot of ground and a lot of people. So, you know, people hear gunshots, they're not sure what they hear, and sometimes panic sets in. Can you set the scene for us and tell us what some of the witnesses or folks that were there may have shared with you?
Yeah, well, the first people I came across was a few women who I could see were clearly standing with like three very young children. And this mother was saying, I was standing right there, I have my kids with me, and all of a sudden I just hear this barrage of gunfire. She said it sounded like 20 to 30 gunshots, but you never know, you know, in the moment. Obviously, just as I said before, we heard from another person, maybe a dozen or 14 or so. So the numbers are all over the place as of right now, but obviously when you're in that sort of situation, it's so, you know, frazzling. They said, you know, she just said it really just kind of came out of nowhere. She was obviously very worried, being that she's with her 3 young children. They were all okay, thankfully. That same vendor, that same business owner that I was talking about just before, he did say he sort of heard it in kind of these quick bursts, like as far as the gunfire goes. And, you know, we hear it all the time from people. They thought it was maybe firecrackers or, fireworks, but in such a busy and crowded event with all these people around, he said that didn't really make a lot of sense, and very quickly it settled in just with how everybody was responding and reacting there around the fountain. I had one gentleman message me on X in response to a post I put up who said he was right there sitting at the fountain when he heard the shots behind him. He just said it was absolutely crazy, just chaotic, and that he had to just get away from there. And so, yeah, that's as far as I've heard from people.
Well, that's a lot of information, and it's very helpful. And I'm curious for the witness who was right there at the fountain, any indication as to what led up to this? Oftentimes, and I don't want to guess here what happened, but sometimes there's some sort of altercation that leads up to the shooting. And is there any indication from anybody who was shooting? Did we see the shooter? Did they see them run? Did they see them shoot? Could there be more than one? Any indication from the witnesses you spoke with?
The one gentleman who was that vendor, he was saying, when we asked him that, he did say he didn't necessarily make out whether there was one person, multiple people. He wasn't entirely sure. And from everybody else we've spoken to, they said they couldn't really make it out. As you can imagine, in such a big crowd like that, as soon as you hear it, you start moving the other direction.
Right.
I think for the people who had to have been right on top of it, they would probably be the ones that investigators and detectives would like to talk to, but just with how crowded it was, I think it's pretty tough for people to made out, who this possibly, could have been. But again, as we said, and Jeremy said, we'll hopefully be getting an update from police here soon, Michelle.
Yeah, hopefully. All right, Tyler Cunnington reporting for us live at the scene outside the Seattle Center, not far from the Space Needle there. Thanks very much for the update.